Hi everyone. So today I'll be showing you how to create a Mosaic dataset using NetCDF and ArcGIS Pro, which will allow you to manage, visualize, and analyze collections of raster data, which is typically satellite data in the form of NetCDFs. Once you have downloaded your NetCDF from Earthdata Search or wherever you are going to source your data from, you can open Panoply, which is an open source tool provided by NASA that allows you to work with these multidimensional datasets. And what we'll do is we'll open a couple of these files. Well, I'm going to open one in the video, but you should open a couple to make sure they're not corrupt and things like that. They're reading properly, etc. So we can see all the variables and the dimensions that we have in here. So we have a time dimension. You can tell by the type, it's blank. And then you can tell this is a variable, geo2d, lat long, etc. What we'll do is we'll actually go in here. This will be the same thing. It'll show you all of these variables and dimensions, but with a little bit more, as you can see, time dimension, as I mentioned, not as a type here. So you can see more information about the data itself, where it's sourced from, references and things of that nature, bounding boxes if you need them, etc. So with that, we can see that it works, and we'll head over into ArcGIS Pro. And the first step is to create, a project, start with a template, something like that. And then what we'll do is we'll create a Mosaic data set. And we'll do that by navigate to your folder, go right click, hit new, we'll make a file geodatabase. For some of these processes I won't actually run, but I will show you how to do them. So you can see we have a file in your geodatabase, name it whatever you want. I already have one made here for tutorials, and we'll navigate. But then the next step, once you have it, is to create your Mosaic dataset. Once you create your Mosaic dataset, we're going to add rasters, but let's ensure we have the proper configurations here. So we can see we're in our tutorial geodatabase, Mosaic name, we can call it something like MERRA 2 tutorial or something like that. Our coordinate system, we're going to be using WGS 1984. Depending on your data set, you may find this information at the datasets landing page. If you're getting it from Earthdata Search, you can also find this information sometimes in the Panoply file that when we looked at it in Panoply, this information is usually in there with the coordinate system. And here's just some other settings. We don't have to worry about that for now. So what we'll do is run it. And then once you run it, you will get spit out your MERRA 2 tutorial. And then once you have your Mosaic data set here, the next step is then to right click, going to add rasters. You can also do this by navigating to the geoprocessing pane and searching add rasters like so. There it is. We're going to put our input data set. So here's your raster type. Raster data set will work for NetCDF. Esri has made it so where it will pick that up, but you can navigate to NetCDF here and specify more specifically. And we're doing NetCDF files. There's others like folders, data sets. We're going to go to the individual files themselves. Navigate to your folder where it was stored. Trying to figure out where mine is. Desktop tutorials. There we go. So we'll go in here, open these. We'll select each NetCDF file. We'll add them to this pane here. And then you have some advanced options that you can do, like allow duplicates. If you don't want duplicates, overwrite them, exclude, etc. Enable pixel cache. So this would just help with caching and performance for faster display. Depending on your performance team, this is something that you may want to enable. But for right now, we don't necessarily need that. This is just a tutorial. And then your raster processing, again, calculating statistics. So let's say you wanted a certain way, or you may not have, you may not be wanting to use a dynamic or range adjustment in Pro, or you're hosting this online. That's something that you may want to consider calculating the statistics and building raster pyramids. And then again, just more like if you want overviews and things of that nature and thumbnails. So then you would run this, you'll add your rasters to the Mosaic. And once your Once that runs, your output will be your tutorial MERRA file. You will add that to your map, and then as you can see, we have a mosaic layer, we have data, multidimensional, and time. So it's reading the time from the file. We'll navigate to mosaic layer. See, I have the dynamic range adjustment set already. If you turn it off, this is kind of what it will look like without calculating the statistics. So again, I mentioned that is very critical. From there, we will navigate to our multidimensional pane. We see how our T2 max, we can go to precipitation, for example, and then we can navigate through the days to show the changes, just highlight them. Again, there are multiple variables in this one data set. We can do T2 min, navigate back to the first day, go forward. As you can see, highlight the changes, things of that nature, which is awesome. But even more importantly, trying to get some of these pixel value returns. As you can see, when we click the data here, we just get the image and our table back. So how do we get our pixel value returns? It actually is already returning because it's reading the NetCDF. But if it was not, what you could actually do is go into your geoprocessing. And this all depends how your NetCDF is potentially set up. You can set the mosaic properties. And in setting the mosaic properties, you will ensure that you will get the pixel value returns. And this just is some of the compressions and things of that nature. But one thing that is important to check is, that it is using time. If you want that time variable, and then that it has it's reading the start time and the end time field. For us, it's just one, and others you can have like an acquisition date as the field name, something like that, or it may also just be called start time, end time, depending on how your NetCDF was published. And you can set up your time intervals. And again, what that will do is when you publish this layer, it will allow a user to interact with the data set, click around, and get a pixel value return. Here you can see we're looking at T2 min. It is giving us this pixel value return, letting us know it's 238 Kelvin for this temperature at that specific location. We can go look at the precipitation max. And let's click here. And this is just showing the power of the NetCDFs. And that's just huge. And that's the amount of precipitation. And then we can go to something like the mean. And again, we will get these pixel value returns, which can allow you to do things such as research. And again, the time is reading correctly here. But if it were not, or if you were using a different type of data set where it is not reading properly, you could build the multi-dimensional info and put your data set here, your variable field, and it will allow you to select your variables here. So you can see we have the same ones: T2 max, hour no rain, T2 mean, precipitation max, and T2 min. And then the dimension field again is the time. So we'll go here and select STD time. And you can fill up with these, sorry, let me just grab one of these, and you can give it a description to let you know what the units is, like Kelvin, STD time, whatever your units may be, description. You would run that and it would build, and then it would give you what we have here where you can see your variable with the time together and its multi-dimensional info. And then the next step is just taking it further to analyze. You can mess with the symbology, show name, show all, take, do heat map. I don't know, like that, just to change it and show the visualizations that are possible. And then you can do things with the data, go here and go, your processing templates, but you can create a chart, temporal profile. And with that temporal profile, what this will allow you to do is visualize the data at an area of interest over, one time. So I'm going to select a point here, and this is just change in 2 meter air temperature over the time. And this is pulling information from each data set file that we have in this. So if you had 1,000 files, it would pull from every single one and build you a chart like so. And then you could do it for, areas of interest like that. So just showing the power of once you have these NetCDFs, what you can do to do some analysis and visualizations with them.